Welcome to Be Super University. Today we are talking about the Compliant Continuum in the DISC model. So we're talking about the C today. And as we get into our subject and start talking, the first thing to keep in mind is that when most of what the information that you'll find out there about DISC and specifically about compliant is going to be focused on this side of the continuum, on the precise side of the continuum. However, we are focusing on both sides today. We want to teach you as much as we can, help you understand yourself a little bit better, because everybody shares a piece of the DISC model. Some areas you have a bigger piece than others, but we all share in our behaviors that people can see in us. This is the science of behavior that we're talking about after all. My name is Jake Newman. I am an expert in behaviors and motivators, and I am so excited to talk to you today about this subject and help you understand a little bit more. And let's discover how this can help you a little bit more in your interactions with others. So as we talk about this model, we do have compliant here. Compliant, when we're talking about this factor, is how you respond to procedures and constraints set by others. So it's how well do you find the rules is kind of the simplified version of that. And we have precise on one side and we have pioneering on the other side. And if we look at some of these characteristics of the two, on the precise side, these individuals are well organized. Everything about them is factual. They want the facts. That's how they make their decisions. They're big on analysis. These are your numbers people. They are detail oriented, very focused on getting things accurate and correct. And these all show a little bit differently in every individual, so these aren't the exact same person that maybe comes to mind initially. These could be multiple different people, but their tendencies show a little bit different depending on all of the factors together. But these are also the rule followers. These are the people who are giving you a hard time for breaking policy or overstepping in one way or another. These could be the people when you're driving down the road that are going the speed limit, and maybe they're trying to hold everybody else up because they think that everybody should be following the rules, and so they're going the speed limit. They're not necessarily in the slow lane. Maybe they're in the fast lane. Who knows? But they're the rule follower, and they want everybody else to follow the rules. And sometimes they get very frustrated at people who aren't following the rules. On the other side, we have pioneering. These people are independent, self-willed, innovative, unsystematic, and rule creator. I put rule creator on here, not necessarily that these are the people that actually create the rules that everybody follows, but these are the people who break the rules, and sometimes there's not a rule that exists until these people do something, and then that rule gets created. Or, on a positive side, these are the people who get rules updated. Maybe they're outdated, and these are the people who test the limits a little bit, bend the rule a little bit, and get it to a point where it needs to be updated in order for everybody to be able to move forward. And so, as we look at these characteristics, you can tell very easily that these are two different things. They're two different people. They're opposite sides of the spectrum. And depending on how you're feeling, the first thing I want you to be thinking about as we are talking more about this today is where do you fit? Where do you see yourself? When we look at these characteristics, do you feel really strongly about one side or the other? Do you feel like maybe sometimes you have one side or the other? If so, you may fall into the situational side of the continuum, which means you're closer to the midline, which is okay. That typically means that you're probably stronger in one of the other factors, and we have other videos to teach you about that. If you feel very strongly about one side or the other of these characteristics, chances are you're probably more of an extreme in this factor, which which means that it's a lot easier for other people to observe these behaviors in you. If you're situational, it means that from time to time you'll show these behaviors, but not all the time. So when we look at these people and try to identify them, the other piece besides identifying yourself is you want to start to identify others. Can you think about other people who maybe fall into the precise side of the continuum or in the pioneering continuum, and think to yourself, how well do you closely match with them? Do you get along with these people? Do these people frustrate you? Are they sometimes annoying to you? We've talked in the past about the need for appreciation and being able to appreciate these other styles because they typically have strengths that you don't have. And you have two choices depending on where you fall on a factor, and specifically talking about the compliant factor today. You have the choice to either appreciate the people around you and convert them into an asset for you because they have strengths that you don't, and it could be really hard for you to ever build those strengths just because you're so extreme in one side or the other. Or you may need to adapt. You may need to change your energy level towards the opposite side of the continuum, meaning, and I'll use myself as an example here because I am on the pioneering side. I'm on the extreme side of pioneering. You can see here I'm at a 7. And so for me to try to be organized, to try to be detail oriented, to try to focus on the facts and the information to back up what I'm talking to people about, I have to exert a lot more energy. I have to adapt myself, and I can do that, and you can do that as well, but you have to keep in mind that there is extra energy in the effort there to adapt, and you can only adapt temporarily for it to not get to a point where it's too stressful or too mentally unstable for yourself. So those are the two ways that you can use your knowledge about DISC: is adapt, or do I find the opposite and have them be an asset for me, convert them into an asset. The other thing to consider as we talk about this is that because we're B Super University, I always like to pull superpowers in here. It makes sense to me. I love superheroes and I love super abilities. And so when we're talking about the precise style here, we are talking about the ice ability, the power to freeze. These individuals are very accurate and very clear on what needs to happen. They also are okay by themselves. They're solo. So when I think of like ice, I think of like North Pole or South Pole, and how that's kind of a solo place, a place that nobody wants to go, but few people have gone. So it's kind of like one person. They're fine to be by themselves. They don't need other people. They also, going off of a limitation, sometimes they do appear cold to people. They're not the talkative bunch, and so that also could add to that kind of ice power. The other side is the power to fly. So the song comes to mind, "Fly like an eagle and be free," or I'm not exactly sure exactly how that song goes. I watched it a long time ago in the Michael Jordan movie, Space Jam, and so that's just what comes to mind, right? These are the people who want to be free. They want to be independent. They want to do things their own way. I actually appreciate the unsystematic characteristic here. Of course, I'd love to be way more organized and have like exact systems set in place. But for me, I have a specific way of doing things, and that way works for me, and I can, I feel okay that way. Other people, when they're looking in, they don't always understand it, but it's something that I understand, and it makes sense to me, and it helps me be more productive and more successful myself. And so, but these are the people who want to do things their own. A lot of times they can be the more creative type of people because they're not bound by rules. They're not bound by the way things are and the way things have been done. These are the people who are thinking maybe more outside the box. And so a lot of useful strengths on both sides of the precise and on the pioneering side. So as you think about this, how can this information help you raise your level of communication and strengthen your relationships? When you think about the people that you're interacting with, how can you start to adapt to maybe the people you thought of that were the opposite style here on this continuum as you? What ways can you change or be more like them? We've talked about this in the past, that the closer you can identify and be, the more as far as your behaviors that you're showing, the more easier connection you'll have with individuals. So for myself, once again, when I know that I'm talking to somebody who is more of a precise style within the compliant factor, I try very hard to be more organized. My wife is actually on this side of the factor, and so I do try to do things that show more organization, because I hope, I guess, I cross my fingers, I hope that she'll be more appreciative of it. Sometimes she is, sometimes it's questionable, but I definitely, when I'm at work and I'm trying to help people understand where I'm coming from, and I'm working with these types of people, I definitely make sure that I have facts and I have points that prove what I'm trying to push across the table and get them on the same page of. And so this can be useful for you on a personal level. It can also be useful for you professionally. Once again, Be Super University works with individuals. We also work with organizations, and our goal is to create higher performance, better effective communication, stronger relationships, and a stronger team culture. We would love to work with you. If you want to reach out to us and have a 30-minute consultation, please reach out to b.super.university@gmail.com. You'll see it down in the description, and we would love to talk to you. We'd love to find out if there's a way that we can help you solve any of your problems or challenges. And if for some reason we can't help you, I would love to find somebody we can refer you to that you can get help from. We know that the better we become, the more we can adapt to the people around us, the better we will become, the better we will make the world, and we can all be superheroes to others. So don't forget, care to share and be somebody's hero.